What's up? This is Aaron Pauley from OfMice&Men, and you are watching Gin and Juice TV.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, hey, good. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing very well, and yourself?
I'm good. How have you guys been?
Been well. Yeah, been busy. New records out in a
Yeah,
week.
yeah, less than
And
a
then
week. Yeah,
touring and life and everything. Yeah, just busy.
I
No
know.
rest.
So excited to hear the full project. But let's get into it. We'll talk about the album in a second. But you said that you guys love the Australian crowds. You're coming back to Australia. You've been here a few times before. What's your favorite thing about coming to Australia?
Aside from the weather and vibes, honestly, it's the presence of the audience. And I say that a lot. Like that's my favorite thing about Australian crowds is just how present and in the moment everybody is,
Yeah.
as opposed to just looking at the show through your screen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that also just has to do with the value that Oz puts on live music, and especially live music from artists that travel long distances to come. I don't think it's
Yeah.
lost on anybody just how far it is.
I think so
um,
too.
and so when we show up, the crowds show up, and it's wonderful.
You said it yourself, you're about to release your latest album, which is coming out in less than a week, Another Miracle. Tell us
Yep.
about what fans can expect from that, because I know you guys already have a few tracks out from there, but what can fans expect from the full project?
Yeah, honestly, it's and I think every band would say this if they're telling the truth or not, even if they're
Yeah.
lying. But for us, it really is like an all killer, no filler record. Every song is worked on as if it's going to be the last thing that anybody ever
Yeah.
hears. And for us, when we work on records, it's not so much us sitting down to make a record as it is we're continuously working on songs all the time. And so for us, making records is more about just like rapping about wrapping them. Like we sort of will know when a deadline to turn in an album is, and then we'll
Yeah.
spend many months just kind of working on it sporadically or while we're on tour, off tour. And this is our third that we've self-produced like entirely by
Yeah.
ourselves. So
Okay.
we stay creative and busy, and then it's just more about picking the songs because we always end up with a surplus. And then funny enough, the thing that takes the longest is usually deciding what to call it and then also what the album art will be.
Yeah, the album art. I love the shell. That shell one was really dope. Who came up with that for that project?
So the shell with Restoring Force, that was Tino, our drummer.
Oh
And that
wow.
was because restoring force is a physics principle that talks about equilibrium. So it's like if you take a weight on a string and you move it, it will bounce back, but it will always end up finding that middle ground again.
Yeah.
Um, and with equilibrium, it's also like in our inner ear, and it's like what keeps us level.
Oh
And
yeah.
the inner ear looks like that shell, so
Oh
that's how that shell
wow.
came about. So that's
Oh,
like
that's so
the
cool.
crazy roundabout story of how a shell ends up as the album art. But
That's actually really
that
dope.
is the official, yeah. And that was Tino, our drummer. He's also the one who he hand painted all of the Rorschach paintings for our album Tether in the album
Yeah.
artwork. He did that entirely like by himself.
That's
It's
so
insane.
funny. The drummer picks the artwork about eardrums.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just it's funny how the universe works like that.
Yeah, that's so dope. But you guys have come such a long way from your first self-titled album, classic album. Did you
Crazy.
guys ever think that you'll come this far?
No, and we were just talking about that. Nothing about this genre ever screamed longevity.
Yeah,
Like um none of our favorite bands ever made it to 9 albums,
yeah,
for the most part.
yeah. That's a lot.
It is an awful lot. and it's a blessing, to be honest. But yeah, no, I think and I think that's also why it has lasted, because so much of what the music's about is about presence, and it's about
Yeah.
being in the here and now. um which, funny enough, I feel like is the key to longevity. Is not the key to having a future is to not go there before it's time to go there, I think.
Yeah.
you know
And then also maybe you guys probably weren't putting pressure on yourself, so everything probably came more natural,
yeah, and just
more
not having
authentic.
any, yeah, and having no idea of what you're doing just means you can kind of do whatever and not overanalyze or think too much about it,
Yeah.
which I think is the magic of a lot of people's first, second, and third records, you
Yeah.
know.
No, that's dope. And, writing your newest album, did you guys ever feel like, you were kind of stepping back into nostalgia, or you were more focused on just creating new material, like new sound?
Um, you know what's funny is yes and no. It's like yes, nostalgia in terms of feeling. So it's like, blah, 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 blah. Let me like get my brain in order real quick. um, you have artists that somebody will say like, oh, like this artist ripped off this other artist because they were heavily inspired and came up with something that's like basically the same thing. I rip people off all the time, but I'm not ripping off what I'm hearing. I'm
Yeah.
ripping off what I'm feeling. So I will hear an artist and something about the music will make me feel something, or just a very almost like synesthesia, like you're like seeing colors. But for me, music makes me feel very like dynamic things.
Yeah.
Um, could be autism. Um, but no, but truthfully, like if I hear something that is really, really inspiring, I will catalog how that made me feel, and I will literally try and create something that makes me feel the same. And it often doesn't even sound remotely the same, but it's like that to me is the biggest that's the thing that I love ripping off from other art from artists, is like just the way things make me feel, which I guess like that's the whole point of art anyway, is to
Exactly.
let it
And
move you, you know. So um for us, stepping back into nostalgia, I think was maybe more about reconnecting with those feelings rather than those sounds. Because the other thing is, artists is like, we will think we're making a nostalgic song, like, oh, this is exactly like our record. And it's like,
yeah,
fans won't perceive it that way at all. And then
yeah,
conversely, fans will sometimes say that something feels nostalgic, and then I don't hear it as nostalgic at all. So
yeah,
and ultimately, though, the fan is the one that's right. It's not
exactly.
the artist,
And
it's the fan. It's for them.
because we
So,
know, I feel like because especially your hardcore fans and your diehard, they were there from the start. So for them, I feel like, and this is probably to you as well, because I'm sure you're a fan of like a lot of different bands. When you hear
oh, totally.
someone's first record, it's never, ever, ever, ever gonna be the same to their latest. And then a lot of people, they probably go, "Oh, it's just not the same." It's probably they probably fell in love with that. There was probably, things that they experienced in life, and then maybe that album helped shape different things.
Oh,
Um,
totally. Music and albums, a lot of times they are quite literally the soundtrack to your life. And I think of them almost like boats, and you sort of pack into them memories and feelings and things associated with your life. And every different, song was a different boat with different memories and different things, but it's also different for everybody, so
yeah,
it's but then also at the same time, it's like we share a lot as human beings that go through the same sort of commonalities of just the human experience,
yeah.
copyright the human experience. It's like we all, like a lot of us go through the same things. So to be able to write about those and sort of glean understanding in yourself and your own circumstances by way of connecting with other people, it's like, it's the best part.
Yeah. And you guys have been through different stages as well, and phases within the band and your sound. How do you find, the balance of trying to make sure that the band keeps its identity?
Honestly, it's because the identity was always rooted in like honest emotional expression and connecting through our audience via doing that diligently. I think that that never changes, and that's um it's the easiest sort of like rubric or rule book to follow creatively, because you're not having to sit and think about, well, we sound like this, but we have to do this and we do this and we do this. If the whole thing is just built on honesty, um, there's an interesting quote. It's, you have to remember a lie every time you tell it, and
Yeah.
you have to remember it. Otherwise, but you only have to remember the truth once. And so
Yeah.
for me, the older I get too, it's like I'm just trying to find the most efficient ways of doing things. And that takes the least amount of cognitive mental energy. I don't have to think about if I'm following my gut. You know
Yeah,
what I
well,
mean?
that's
Because
good.
the
I mean,
gut's
there
just
isn't
there.
really a rule book anyway. There's not like
Yeah.
a specific thing, but that's dope. And you guys, obviously have been in the scene for so long. Do you think that, Of Mice and Men has created, has impacted the sound of, hardcore and metal and has influenced a lot of bands who came up after you?
I mean, I'd like to think so. I'd like to
Yeah,
think like, somewhere in the tapestry of music, we exist as a thread where other threads are coming off of it. And I think that's sort of true for everybody.
yeah.
I'm looking behind you at the artists on your wall, like Good Charlotte and Nicki Minaj and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if we've had an impact quite like those artists have had an impact. But I also think like us as artists, like we don't really think too much about that. Like I
Yeah.
don't that almost makes me uncomfortable kind of just like as a person. Like I'm not like somebody that's really big on accolades, and like I don't take compliments very well even. It's like for me it's just about expressing and like somebody going like, yeah, I hear you, I see you, and like I understand.
I
you
think it's
know
definitely
um
shaped, in my opinion, I think you guys have, influenced a lot of bands just because I've been there from the beginning. And funny you said Nicki and Good Charlotte because guess how I discovered Of Mice and Men?
oh, how
Good Charlotte.
nice. I
I
love that.
swear they did. And for me, that's why like them two, they're my goats because they've both put me on. And Good Charlotte being a punk band, pop punk band from the early thousands, they were the ones who put me onto metal and hardcore. And oh man, I remember hearing your early stuff and I just fell in love and I was like, what is this music? And it was just crazy, but that's literally because Good Charlotte were thanking bands in their, obviously remember CDs, and they
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to have in the back of their CDs bands we like to thank. And there was so many bands, and they put me onto the Smiths and different they put me onto different subgenres.
So
So,
sick.
but yeah, so I discovered you guys like back in the early, like the when you guys were first came out.
Yeah,
What was your first album?
it's
And
so crazy.
yeah, you guys were blowing up, and I've seen you live so many times, like throughout the world. I've traveled a lot to the States and all that. But yeah, that was literally because of them.
So cool. And what a journey, right? Like I
What a
know,
journey.
one thing that's funny that I think about from time to time is there's a video of Post Malone on his tour bus and he's
Yeah.
singing an Of Mice and Men song. And
Wow.
I thought that's pretty cool.
You never
Because
know who's going
he's
to.
arguably one of the most influential artists in the entire
Yeah.
world, like of the last 100 years. So it's like
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. And it's a song that I didn't record or write. It was before I was in the band, but it's like
Okay. Yeah.
still,
Still, that's so
still
dope.
wave the little flag. It's still cool. I don't know. Like,
Um.
and that's the way I look at it. Is it's just like there's a rapper. His name's Aesop Rock. He's one of my favorites, and he has this lyric, and it says "Happy to be on the food chain at all," and it's like I really am,
Yeah, that's it. It's count your blessings.
truly.
Literally, it's literally counting your blessings. But with your sounds, I love how you guys obviously go from your screams to your melodic breakdowns and all of that. When you're writing your music and you're putting it all together, how do how does your writing process look like between the screams and the clean hooks?
Honestly, it's just dependent on wherever the music sort of takes it. Like the four of us write all of the music first before I do anything
Yeah,
vocally on it. Um, and it's more just about listening to what the song is saying because it's like the age old cliche is music is the universal language. You play a sad song on a violin to anybody in the world, no matter what their language or background of music is, and they'll pick up on that emotion.
yeah,
As soon as I start writing English lyrics, that takes it from the universal language, and now it's less people can actually get what's fully in this.
yeah,
So I try to take my role and responsibility as like to bring back enough of whatever that universal quality of the universal languages lyrically. And so that's why like none of it's really too much about me personally, or like when I'm saying I or me lyrically, I want the listener to think of themselves. They're not thinking about Aaron, they're thinking
Yeah,
about
they want them to
them.
think I. Yeah,
Yeah, no, truthfully. And it's like, if anything, I want to dissolve. I want the, it's like if I was a painter, I want people to talk about the painting, and eventually I wouldn't want anybody to know who made it, and it just be about the painting, because then it's about the audience and the listener, and it's not about the artist, you know, because
yeah,
ultimately the artist is the first listener, you know.
yeah. Well, you want them to also relate to your music because that's how they're gonna be, you know, that's how they're gonna turn to a fan.
Yeah, and that's the well, and that's the whole point, is like if music is the universal language, we use language to communicate. So it's like we want to communicate.
Okay, that's cool. And you guys have shared the stage with giants and legends in the industry, like big ones, Linkin Park, Slipknot.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. What are your lessons and any like advice that, pieces of advices that you've learned from them tours or from those legends
Oh
that have stuck with
wow.
you?
Honestly, to be present, to stop and smell the roses when they're in bloom,
Yeah, that's
and to
cool.
not get so caught up in the fact that all flowers die, as all things eventually go away,
Yeah,
you know, because there is that sort of sadness that can follow you around. Um, be mindful of your finances and things as your band and business grows. It's a blessing to be able to hand those responsibilities off to other people, but also be mindful. Like, don't be so
yeah,
disconnected that you don't know where your dollars and cents are going.
yeah. That's good.
And then also like to love what you do, and if you don't, it will destroy you. So get out.
No,
And
100.
that's like, that sounds like really like almost kind of cruel or whatnot, but it's like not everybody can tour or handle that. And if you can't, it will kill you. It
Yeah,
kills people quite literally. Like it's just the
yeah.
road's
That's crazy.
unkind. But not to make it sound dangerous or anything, but
Nah.
no, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
if you don't fully love it, there are plenty um better ways of earning a living for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure,
You
for
know.
sure. What's your favorite bar or line or riff that still sticks with you, or that you've ever written, or that's from the band?
It's the chorus of Flowers, honestly, off this new
Okay,
record.
speaking about flowers.
Yeah, and it's the line is, when the storm buried in your blood starts to rain on everything you touch, when it only ever grows and it never goes away, I hope you feed the flowers you see along the way.
Oh my God,
That's
I
my
love
favorite. That's
that.
my favorite lyric. And that's like the whole, I think that completely encapsulates like why I still do this.
Yeah, that's
You know?
actually so beautiful. I love that. And it's literally going back to what you were saying as well.
Yeah, it's about taking sort of if you can take your sadness and turn it into something that feeds the flowers, if you take that rain that's
Yeah,
inside you and you feed the garden with it,
yeah.
then it has a purpose beyond just wetting you up.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Okay, cool. Is there anything that that surprises you in the band? Obviously, you've been in of Mice and Men have been a band for so long, but is there anything that kind of still surprises you?
Oh, the fact that the audience still gives us their time and attention.
Yeah.
It's never lost on me, and I'm always appreciative of it. And it's a gift that they give us, and it's not something that we deserve, and we don't take it lightly.
I don't think you guys do for sure. What do you mean?
No, because I think deserved then comes with entitlement, and
Yeah,
we're not entitled at all. We don't believe we deserve any of this, and that all of this is a gift that the audience has given us by giving us their time, like
yeah,
truthfully, and letting the songs mean something to them.
yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, no, I think deserving is entitlement, and we just don't feel that way.
All right.
But
Well,
it's
I like
nice
the
of
way
you to
that
say so.
perspective. Yeah, well, I like the way you flipped it into your perspective. That's good. But yeah, you guys have experienced the rise of metalcore and the scene. How do you feel about the genre today, and where do you see it heading?
Oh, it's blown past where we've taken it, like by far. I would even call us like a last generation metalcore band, because I think modern metalcore is just pushed so far past where we
Yeah,
what we were doing. And at the same time, I love that because it means that we lasted long enough that there's a whole generation of young kids doing it
Yeah.
faster, harder, better, sicker than we do it. And I love that. Like, because that's how it should be. Like I would hate for it to not be that way. I want to see it just keep getting better and better and better.
But that's like every genre. That's especially hip hop. You know, it's not the same from when it was in the 80s. It's totally
Truthfully. But
different.
this has been so wonderful and thank you so much. And I'm so happy we got to finally do
Yeah,
this.
I'm so happy. I wanted to play this or that with you, but we'll do that another time. But
Definitely.
all right, thank you. Can you do a shout out to Gin and Juice TV real quick?
Absolutely. What's up? This is Aaron Pauley from OfMice&Men, and you are watching Gin and Juice TV.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.